The stars above Earth had always looked peaceful. Tonight they were filled with alien ships. Commander Taiyang stood on the bridge of the defense station, watching the screens with cold eyes. 47 alien vessels hung in space like vultures waiting for something to die. They were Vrelian ships and they had come to take Earth, sir. We're receiving a transmission, said the communications officer. Put it on screen, Taiyang replied. The face that appeared was not human. The Vrelian commander had gray skin, 4 eyes, and a mouth that looked like it had never smiled. When it spoke, the words came through the translator in a flat, emotionless tone. Humans of Earth, I am Lord Varix of the Vrelian Empire. Your world is now under our control. You have 30 days to surrender. If you comply, your people will be treated fairly. If you resist, we will destroy your cities one by one. This is not a negotiation. This is fact. The screen went dark. Taiyang looked around the bridge. His crew stared back at him, waiting for orders. Some looked scared. Others looked angry. All of them looked to him for answers he did not have. Get me Admiral Kyung, he said quietly. While he waited, Taiyang watched the alien ships on his screen. They were not moving. They did not need to. They had positioned themselves perfectly to block every escape route from Earth. Ships near the moon. Ships near Mars. Ships at every jump point that led to deep space. The Vrelians had done this before. They knew exactly how to cage a planet. Admiral Kyung's face appeared on the private channel. The old man looked tired, but his voice was steady. I saw the message, Kyung said. They've already started. 3 mining stations destroyed. Luna Base reports they're jamming all long-range communications. Mars colony is cut off. What are our options? Taiyang asked. Limited. Very limited. We have maybe 200 combat-ready ships. They have 7 times that number. Our weapons are older. Our shields are weaker. In a straight fight, we lose in less than an hour. Taiyang nodded slowly. He had expected this answer, but hearing it still hurt. So we surrender? Kyung was quiet for a long moment. That's what the council is debating now. The Vrelians sent terms. Earth becomes part of their empire. We give them resources, workers, and technology. In return, they promise not to kill us all. And you believe them? No, but what choice do we have? On the moon, Captain Nari sat in her fighter and watched the Vrelian ships through her cockpit window. She had been a pilot for 12 years. She knew ships. These alien vessels were beautiful in a terrible way. Smooth, efficient, deadly. They moved through space like sharks through water. All pilots, stand down, came the order from command. Do not engage. Repeat, do not engage. Nari gripped her controls tighter. Stand down. Do not engage. The words tasted like poison in her mouth. She had not become a pilot to sit and watch while aliens threatened her home. Her radio crackled. It was Yujin, her wingmate and closest friend. Nari, tell me we're not just going to let them do this. Orders are orders, Nari replied, but her voice was hollow. Orders. Yujin laughed bitterly. We have orders to die slowly instead of quickly. That's what surrender means. Nari said nothing. She knew Yujin was right. Down on Earth, in a bunker beneath the Pacific Defense Command, Dr. Hana worked frantically at her computer. She was not a soldier. She was a scientist, an expert in communications and computer systems. Right now, she was trying to do something impossible. She was trying to hack into the Vrelian network. Dr. Hana, you need to evacuate, said a young soldier at the door. There's a transport leaving in 20 minutes. I'm not going anywhere, Hana said without looking up. Go without me. Ma'am, the Vrelians could strike this location at any time. Then I better work faster. The soldier hesitated, then left. Hana continued typing. Every few seconds she glanced at the second screen, which showed Vrelian code. It was alien, completely different from anything humans had created. But code was code. Patterns were patterns, and Hana was very good at finding patterns. In a conference room 300 meters underground, world leaders argued in circles. Some wanted to fight, some wanted to surrender, some wanted to negotiate. All of them were afraid. We can't win this, said one president. Look at the numbers. Look at their technology. We're children fighting adults. If we surrender, we're slaves, countered another leader. Is that what you want? To hand Earth over to aliens? I want my people to live. Living on your knees is not living at all. Admiral Kyung sat at the head of the table and let them argue. He knew that no matter what they decided, it would not matter. The Vrelians had made up their minds long before they arrived. They would take Earth whether humanity surrendered or not. The only question was how many people would die first. Finally, Kyung stood. The room fell silent. Enough, he said. We're not going to solve this by shouting. The Vrelians gave us 30 days. We have 29 left. In that time, I propose we prepare for both options. We prepare surrender terms, and we prepare for war. War we cannot win, someone said quietly. Kyung looked at the speaker with hard eyes. Maybe. But I will not give Earth to anyone without making them bleed for it. The days passed slowly. The Vrelians did not attack again. They did not need to. They simply waited, their ships hanging in space like a sword over Earth's head. Every day they sent the same message: surrender, submit, obey. On day 29, Commander Taeyang received new orders. Admiral Kyung had made his decision. The World Council had voted. Earth would send a response to the Vrelian ultimatum. Taeyang recorded the message himself. It was short. Only 3 words, come and take it. He sent the transmission to Lord Verax and waited. Around him, his crew prepared for what came next. They checked weapons. They said goodbye to loved ones. They made peace with death. The reply came within an hour. Lord Verax's face appeared on the screen again. This time the alien looked almost surprised. You refuse? You choose death over life? Taeyang stood straight, his uniform perfect, his face calm. We choose freedom over slavery. If that means death, so be it. Verax tilted his head, studying the human commander like an interesting insect. You are brave. Or foolish. It makes no difference. We will take Earth. We will break your cities. We will crush your armies. And when you have nothing left, you will beg us for the mercy you reject today. Perhaps, Taeyang said. Or perhaps you'll be the ones begging. Verax laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. Impossible. But I admire your spirit. It will make your defeat more satisfying. The screen went dark. Taeyang turned to his crew. They were watching him, waiting. He took a deep breath. All ships, battle stations. Show these aliens what humans do when you corner us. Outside, the Vrelian ships began to move. The war for Earth had begun. The first Vrelian strike hit Luna Base at dawn. The weapons came from orbit, moving so fast that the defense systems barely had time to react. Bright lights filled the sky as the base's shields failed. Then the base itself exploded, taking 3,000 people with it. Captain Nari watched it happen from her fighter. She had been in the air when the attack started, running patrol with her squadron. Now she watched her home burn. All fighters engage. Came the order from what was left of command. Finally, Nari pushed her fighter forward, accelerating toward the nearest Vrelian ship. It was a cruiser, 3 times the size of her small vessel. She did not care. Around her, 20 other fighters followed. They were angry. They were scared. But they were moving forward, and that was what mattered. The Vrelian ship's weapons tracked them easily. Beams of red light cut through space. Nari rolled her fighter hard to the left, feeling the heat as the beam passed close enough to scorch her hull. To her right, a fighter exploded. Then another. Then 3 more. Break formation, Nari shouted. Don't make it easy for them. The fighters scattered like birds fleeing a predator. Nari dove under the Vrelian cruiser, firing her missiles as she passed. The missiles hit the shields and exploded harmlessly. The cruiser did not even slow down. Another beam. Another dead pilot. Nari gritted her teeth and came around for another pass. This was suicide. They all knew it. But what else could they do? Sit and wait to die? Back on Earth, the Vrelians were not gentle. They struck military bases first, destroying them with precision that spoke of weeks of surveillance. Then they moved to cities. They did not destroy the cities completely. That would be wasteful. Instead, they struck power plants, water facilities, and communication towers. They wanted Earth broken, not dead. In coastal cities, people watched the sky light up with fire. Kinetic strikes, massive pieces of metal dropped from orbit at incredible speeds. When they hit, they created explosions that looked like nuclear weapons. Entire city blocks vanished in seconds. Lieutenant Minho flew through the smoke and chaos, trying to reach the targets that command gave him. He was a bomber pilot, flying one of Earth's older military ships. His job was to hit Vrelian ground forces if they landed. But the Vrelians were not landing. They were staying in orbit, safe behind their shields, killing humans from a distance. Command, this is Minho. I have no targets. Repeat, no targets. Copy that, Minho. Return to base. Which base? Every base I know is gone. Silence on the radio. Then a new voice, calm and cold. Admiral Kyung. Minho, proceed to coordinates I'm sending you. There's a base you don't know about. Land there and await orders, Minho blinked. A secret base? He looked at his navigation screen and saw the coordinates appear. They were sending him to the mountains in the north, to a place that was supposed to be empty wilderness. He changed course and flew into the storm. Engineer Bora worked in an underground facility that, officially, did not exist. It had been built decades ago during the last global war, then forgotten by most people. Now it was humanity's last hope. Around her, dozens of engineers and scientists worked on ships. Not military ships, civilian ships, cargo haulers, mining vessels, even luxury yachts. Anything that could fly was being fitted with weapons. It was crude work, rushed and desperate, but it was work. Bora, we need you on Ship 17, called another engineer. Bora wiped sweat from her face and jogged over. Ship 17 was a mining vessel, big and ugly. Someone had welded missile pods to its sides. The pods were not even aligned properly. Will this even work? Bora asked. The other engineer shrugged. Only one way to find out. They worked through the night, through the sounds of distant explosions, through the fear that the Vrelians would find this place and destroy it. They worked because stopping meant giving up, and humans did not know how to give up. 1 week after the war started, Lord Varax sent another message. This time his tone was different. He sounded almost bored, like a teacher lecturing a stupid child. Humans of Earth, you have lost over 50 military installations, 12 cities, and approximately 30 million people. Your orbital defenses are destroyed. Your communication network is in ruins. Your space elevator is debris. You cannot win this war. We are giving you one more chance. Surrender now and we will stop. Refuse and the killing continues. The message played on every screen that still worked. Broadcast by the Vrelians themselves since Earth's satellites were all destroyed. In the secret mountain base, Admiral Kyung watched the message with Commander Taeyang, Captain Nari, and dozens of other officers who had survived the first week. He's right, said one officer. We're losing badly. Maybe we should— No, Nari interrupted. We don't surrender to people who kill 30 million of us and then offer mercy. But we can't win. Maybe not, Taeyang said quietly. But we can make them regret coming here, Kyung nodded. The Vrelians fight like they always fight. They study their target, they use overwhelming force, and they wait for surrender. It has worked 47 times, but they've never fought humans before. What's different about humans? Asked the officer. Humans are predators, Dr. Hana said from the doorway. Everyone turned to look at her. She walked into the room carrying a data pad, her eyes red from lack of sleep. I've been studying Vrelian communications. They don't understand us at all. They think we're like the other species they conquered, logical, calculating, willing to choose survival over pride. And we're not? Someone asked. No. Humans are pack hunters from a death world. We evolved chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We developed persistence because we couldn't outrun or outfight most predators, so we outlasted them. We track, we adapt. We never ever give up. Hana set her data pad on the table. The Vrelians expect us to break. They're waiting for us to see the logical choice, surrender or die. What they don't realize is that humans don't always choose the logical option. Sometimes we choose spite. A few officers laughed at that dark and bitter laughter. Kyung stood. Then we give them spite. We can't match their technology. We can't fight them ship to ship. So we don't. We make Earth into a trap. Every city, every mountain, every ocean becomes a weapon. We hit their supply lines. We never let them rest. We make them bleed for every inch of our world. That's not military strategy, said an officer. That's guerrilla warfare. That's terrorism. No, Taeyang said. That's survival. And we're very good at surviving. Captain Nari spoke up. I have 73 pilots left. Give us targets and we'll hit them. I have bombers with no bombs, said Minho. But I can ram Vrelian ships if needed. I have civilian ships with weapons, added Bora. They won't win battles, but they can create chaos, one by one. The officers volunteered their people, their ships, their lives. Kyung watched them and felt something he had not felt in a week. Hope. All right, he said. Here's what we do. He began outlining the plan. It was not a plan for victory. It was a plan for vengeance. If Earth was going to fall, they would take as many Vrelians with them as possible. 3 days later, Lord Varix received Earth's official response to his ultimatum. It was not a message. It was an action. 50 ships, most of them barely armed civilian vessels, attacked the Vrelian fleet near Mars. They came in fast and chaotic, firing everything they had. Most were destroyed in seconds, but 3 of them got through. 3 ships crashed directly into Vrelian cruisers at full speed. The resulting explosions destroyed both human and alien vessels. Varix stared at the reports, his 4 eyes wide with something close to disbelief. They sacrificed 50 ships to destroy 3 of ours, said his tactical officer. That is insane. No, Varix said slowly. That is a message. They're telling us they will never surrender. Then we destroy them completely. Varix nodded. But for the first time since arriving at Earth, he felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. The turning point came in the 3rd week of the war, though nobody realized it at the time. Captain Nari led a squadron of 15 fighters through an asteroid field near Mars. They were not attacking. They were scavenging. A Vrelian supply ship had been damaged in yesterday's fighting and left behind. It was floating dead in space, its crew either dead or evacuated. Bora, are you seeing this? Nari asked over the secure channel. From Earth, Engineer Bora watched through Nari's camera feed. The supply ship was intact enough to board. More importantly, it had not been destroyed or stripped. I'm seeing it, Bora replied, her voice excited. Get inside if you can. I need data, I need technology, I need anything you can grab. Nari docked her fighter with the alien ship and entered through a breach in the hull. Inside, the air was thin and cold. Emergency lights flickered. The ship's systems were failing, but they were still active. She found the main computer core and connected a device Bora had built. It was crude, nothing like real hacking equipment, but it worked. Data began flowing. Bora, I'm sending everything, Nari said. Keep going. Don't stop until... Alarms blared. On Nari's radar, 3 Vrelian fighters appeared. They were coming fast. Nari, get out of there, shouted Eugen from his fighter outside. Nari looked at the screen. The download was only half complete. If she left now, they would lose the data. But if she stayed, she would die. She stayed. Eugen, buy me 2 minutes. You don't have 2 minutes. Then buy me 1. Outside, Eugen and the other human fighters turned to meet the Vrelians. It was 6 humans against 3 aliens, but the Vrelian ships were faster and better armed. The first pass turned 2 human fighters into scrap metal. Eugen dodged and weaved, firing wildly. He was not trying to win. He was trying to distract. Behind him, another fighter exploded. Inside the supply ship, Nari watched the download bar crawl forward. 60%, 70%. Outside, another human fighter died. 80%. Nari, they're breaking through. Eugen's voice was tight with fear. 90%. A Vrelian fighter appeared at the supply ship's hull, its weapons charging. Nari saw the red glow through the metal walls. 100%. She grabbed the data device and ran. Behind her, the Vrelian's weapon fired, tearing through the ship. Nari threw herself into her fighter and launched just as the supply ship exploded. The shockwave threw her fighter forward, spinning wildly. She fought for control, pulling hard on the stick, and somehow managed to stabilize. Go, 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 she shouted. The surviving fighters ran for Earth. The Vrelians chased them for a while, then broke off. They had won the engagement. 3 alien fighters had destroyed 7 human fighters and a supply ship, but they had lost something more valuable than ships. Back on Earth, Bora plugged the data device into her systems and started reading. Her eyes went wide. Oh, she whispered. Oh, this is good. The data was everything. Vrelian ship designs, weapon specifications, shield frequencies, navigation, routes, communication protocols, supply schedules, and most importantly, every single Vrelian colony world and military base within 100 light years. We have their entire network, Bora said to the others gathered around her. We know where they come from. We know where they're going. We know how their ships work. Admiral Kyung studied the data with Commander Taiyang and Dr. Hana. They barely spoke, just reading and absorbing. Finally, Kyung looked up. "This changes everything." "How?" asked Taiyang. "Because now we can fight smart instead of desperate." Dr. Hana was already working on something. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, inputting Vrelian code and comparing it to human systems. "Their shields operate on a rotating frequency," she said. "They change every few seconds to prevent sustained fire from breaking through. But if we know the pattern, we can time our shots to hit during the weak cycles." "Can we build weapons to exploit that?" Taiyang asked. Bora nodded. "Yes. It'll take time. But yes." "How much time?" "A week. Maybe less if we skip testing." "Skip testing," Kyung said immediately. "We don't have time for testing." Over the next 6 days, humanity worked like they had never worked before. Engineers modified every weapon they had. Fighters got new targeting computers. Missiles got new guidance systems. Even the crude weapons bolted onto civilian ships got upgrades. And they did something else. Something the Vrelians would never expect. They stopped defending. Colonel Sung-ho, a veteran of 3 wars and now commander of Earth's ground forces, gave the order that shocked every soldier. "Abandon the cities," he said. "Pull back to the mountains, the deserts, the forests. Let the Vrelians have the cities." "Sir, we can't just give them—" "We're not giving them anything," Sung-ho interrupted. "We're setting a trap." The Vrelians, seeing humanity's retreat, assumed they had broken the humans' will to fight. Lord Varex ordered his ships to establish control over the abandoned cities. Thousands of Vrelian soldiers landed, expecting resistance. They found none. The cities were empty. Streets were silent. Buildings were dark. It was unsettling, but the Vrelians pushed forward anyway. They took power plants, government buildings, and communication centers without firing a shot. Then 3 days after the occupation began, the cities came alive. Every building had been rigged with explosives. Every sewer line had been turned into a death trap. Every intersection had hidden machine guns that activated on motion sensors. The humans had turned their own cities into massive kill zones and then invited the enemy inside. Lieutenant Minho flew overhead, watching Vrelian soldiers scramble in panic as buildings exploded around them. It was beautiful in a terrible way. "This is for Luna Base," he whispered, launching missiles into the chaos below. On the ground, the Vrelians died by the hundreds. They had expected guerrilla fighters, not an entire city designed to kill them. Their armor protected them from some threats, but not all. Their shields were designed for space combat, not urban warfare. Lord Varex watched the casualty reports with growing anger. In 1 day, he had lost more soldiers than in the entire first month of fighting, and the attacks were not limited to one city. Every city his forces occupied became a death trap. "Pull back," he ordered. "Abandon the surface. We control this war from orbit." But orbit was no longer safe either. Captain Nari led the attack personally. She had 100 fighters now, including many pilots who had been civilians 2 months ago. They were not as skilled as military pilots, but they were brave and angry, which counted for something. More importantly, they had Bora's modified weapons. The fighters came in low and fast, using Earth's atmosphere to mask their approach. When Islandanen, they broke through the clouds, they fired everything at once. Every missile was timed to hit during the Vrelian shield's weak cycle. Half the missiles still failed. The timing was not perfect, but half succeeded, and that was enough. 5 Vrelian ships took critical damage. 2 exploded. 3 limped away, trailing atmosphere and debris. Eugen flew through the wreckage, laughing hysterically. "It worked, Bora, it actually worked." "Don't celebrate yet," Bora replied from the ground. "That was just the first test. They'll adapt their shields now." "Let them adapt," Nari said. "We'll adapt faster." Commander Taeyang watched the battle reports with something resembling satisfaction. They were still losing. The Vrelians still had more ships, better technology, and superior firepower. But for the first time, humanity was making them pay for every advantage. "How many ships did we lose?" Cadastre he asked. 23 fighters. "And them?" 7 major vessels, dozens of smaller craft, and at least 4,000 soldiers on the ground. The trade was still not equal, but it was better, much better. Admiral Kyung sent a message to all human forces. It was short. We are not defeated. We are not broken. The Vrelians thought we would beg for mercy. Instead, we're teaching them what happens when you wake a sleeping predator. Keep fighting. Make them bleed. Make them regret ever coming to our world. That night, Lord Varix received a communication from the Vrelian High Council. They were not pleased. You assured us Earth would fall in weeks, said the High Counselor. It has been a month, and you have not achieved victory. Worse, you are losing ships. This is unacceptable. The humans are more resilient than anticipated, Varix said carefully. Then stop anticipating and start winning. We did not conquer 47 worlds by being patient. Finish this. The communication ended. Varix sat alone in his command center, looking at the planet below. Earth was beautiful, covered in blue oceans and green continents. But it was also dangerous in ways he had not understood until now. The humans were not fighting like a civilization trying to survive. They were fighting like cornered animals. And animals were most dangerous when cornered. He gave the order he had hoped to avoid. Prepare the extinction protocol. If they will not surrender, we will make them. But in a hidden base deep below Earth's surface, Dr. Hana smiled. She had just finished cracking the Vrelian military communication network. Every order Varix gave, every plan he made, humanity would now know about in real time. The prey had become the hunter. The secret came out during the 5th week of war, and it changed everything. Admiral Kyung called a meeting of every surviving command officer. They gathered in the deep mountain base, wondering what was so important that it required everyone's presence. Kyung stood before them, looking older than his years but standing straight and strong. I need to tell you the truth, he said. Earth was never our last line of defense. It was a distraction. Silence filled the room. 30 years ago, we sent colony ships to 5 different star systems. The missions were classified, secret. We sent our best scientists, engineers, and soldiers. We sent families, children. We sent genetic banks, cultural records, and industrial equipment. We created backup copies of humanity in places the galactic community didn't know existed. Commander Taiyang stared. I mean that even if Earth falls, humanity survives. But more than that, those colonies have been building fleets. They've been preparing. They've been waiting for the signal to come home. Dr. Hana laughed, high and slightly hysterical. You magnificent old man. You've been playing the long game. We all have, Kyung replied. Every person who died buying us time. Every pilot who sacrificed themselves. Every soldier who held the line. They weren't dying for nothing. They were dying so our species could survive and strike back. He pressed a button. A star map appeared, showing 5 systems marked in blue. These are our hidden colonies. Together they have approximately 700 warships. Not as advanced as Vrelian vessels, but built specifically for combat. And they're coming home. Captain Nari felt something surge in her chest. Not hope, she had lost too much for hope. But determination. Pure burning determination. When? She asked. 3 days. The message went out through channels the Vrelians did not even know existed. Earth to the colonies, encrypted in ways no alien could crack. It said only one thing, come home. It's time. Lord Varix was preparing to bombard Earth's major population centers when his sensors detected something unusual. Ships were appearing at the edge of the solar system. Lots of ships, Origin? He demanded. Unknown, my lord. They're broadcasting human identification codes, but we have no records of these vessels. Varix pulled up the tactical display. 700 ships. Where had they come from? Earth's shipyards were destroyed. There should be no way for humans to have this many vessels. Analysis of ship types. Military class. Cruisers, frigates, destroyers. They appear purpose-built for combat. Understanding came slowly, then all at once. The humans had hidden colonies. They had planned for this. The whole time Varix had been fighting Earth, thinking he was crushing humanity's last stronghold. There had been others. Waiting. Preparing. We've been tricked, he said quietly. The colonial fleet was led by General Daehyun, a man who had left Earth 30 years ago as a young soldier and returned as a gray-haired warrior. He had spent 3 decades building a military force for a war he hoped would never come. But when the call came, he did not hesitate. "All ships," he said over the command channel. "You know your orders. We're here to save Earth and punish the Vrelians. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity." The fleet split into 3 groups. One headed for Earth to break the blockade. One headed for Vrelian supply lines. One headed directly for Lord Varex's flagship. The Battle of Earth's liberation lasted 18 hours. Captain Nari fought alongside the colonial pilots and found they were different from Earth's defenders. They had trained their entire lives for this moment. They flew with precision and purpose that came from decades of preparation. "Earth pilots, fall in behind us," ordered a colonial squadron leader. "We'll break their formation." "You exploit the gaps," Nari smiled grimly. "Understood. Eugen, you hear that? Copy. Let's show these colonials how we do things at home." The combined human fleet hit the Vrelian blockade like a hammer. The Vrelians, caught between the surface forces and the new arrivals, fought desperately. But they were not prepared for a two-front battle. Engineer Bora, watching from the ground, saw something beautiful. Human ships were using Vrelian technology against them. The data Nari had stolen was now integrated into every weapon system. Missiles that could predict shield rotations, lasers tuned to exploit weaknesses, even computer viruses designed specifically for Vrelian systems. "We're not just fighting them," she said to Dr. Hana. "We're beating them at their own game." Lieutenant Minho dove through debris fields, targeting Vrelian ships that were trying to escape. His bomber, ancient by military standards, had been fitted with colonial weapons. When he fired, the Vrelian shields flickered and failed. The ship exploded. "That's for everyone on Luna Base," Minnie said softly. On the ground, Colonel Sungho watched the sky light up with explosions. The Vrelians were retreating. Not regrouping, not repositioning, retreating. "All ground forces, advance," he ordered. "Push them off our planet." The human soldiers emerged from their hiding places in mountains and forests. They attacked the remaining Vrelian positions with fury that had been building for weeks. The aliens, already demoralized by the space battle, broke and ran for their landing ships. Many did not make it. Lord Varex sat on his flagship bridge and watched his fleet disintegrate. He had started with 47 ships. He now had 19. The humans had turned what should have been an easy conquest into a nightmare. "My lord, we should retreat to Vrelian space," suggested his tactical officer. "And tell the High Council we were defeated by primitives? Better defeated than dead, my lord." Varex knew he was right, but pride was hard to swallow. He had spent 2 centuries building his reputation. He had conquered 9 worlds personally. He had never retreated from battle. A proximity alarm blared. A human ship was approaching. Not attacking, just approaching. "Incoming communication," said the communications officer. "From whom?" "Admiral Kyung of Earth." Varex almost laughed. The old human wanted to gloat. Fine, let him have his moment. Varex accepted the communication. Kyung's face appeared on the screen. He looked tired but satisfied. "Lord Varex, I'm offering you a chance to surrender." Varex stared. "Surrender? You offer me surrender?" "Yes, your fleet is broken. Your soldiers are retreating. You've lost this war. I'm giving you the same choice you gave us. Surrender and live, or fight and die." "You dare?" "I dare because I can," Kyung interrupted. "Your shields are failing. Your ships are damaged. My fleet outnumbers yours 3-1. And unlike you, we have something to fight for. You have nothing but pride." Varex looked at his tactical display. The human was right. The battle was lost. His only choice was how he wanted to lose it. "If I surrender, what happens to my people? You leave Earth, you go home. You never come back. Break this agreement and we will hunt you across the stars. You think you can threaten the Vrelian Empire?" Kyung smiled, and it was not a nice smile. "We just defeated the Vrelian Empire's best fleet with a mixture of old ships, civilian vessels, and colonial forces. Yes, Lord Varex, we can threaten your empire, and if we have to, we will destroy it." Varex was silent for a long moment. Then he made his decision. "I accept your terms. We will withdraw." "No," came another voice. Commander Taeyang appeared on the communication channel. "You don't get to just leave." "What do you mean?" Varex asked. "We're coming with you, all the way to your homeworld. We need to make sure your High Council understands what happened here." "That is not negotiable," Taeyang finished. "You came to Earth to make us part of your empire. Now we're making a different arrangement. You're going to help us free every world you've conquered. All 47 of them. Ferrex's four eyes widened. Impossible. The High Council would never allow it. The High Council isn't going to have a choice. Captain Nari, listening to the exchange, felt her heart swell. They were not just defending Earth anymore. They were going on the offensive. They were taking the fight to the Vrelians. General Dahyun's voice came over the command channel. All ships prepare for jump to Vrelian space. We're not done yet. Dr. Hana, still in her underground bunker, accessed the Vrelian military network one last time. She sent a message to every world the Vrelians had conquered. It was simple. This is Earth. We were attacked. We survived. We're coming to help you. Hold on. Within hours, reports started coming back. Rebellions on 3 conquered worlds. Riots on 7 others. The subjugated species had heard that someone had defeated the Vrelians. They had heard that the impossible was possible. Hope was spreading across the galaxy. Lord Varric sat in his command center and realized he had made a terrible mistake. He had not just lost a battle. He had started a revolution, and it was all because he had underestimated one species: humans. The human fleet arrived at the first conquered world 3 weeks after the Battle of Earth. The planet was called Kelris, and it had been under Vrelian control for 60 years. General Dahyun stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the planet grow larger on the view screen. Lord Varric stood beside him, no longer a proud conqueror but a defeated prisoner. Your garrison here has 12 ships, Dahyun said. Tell them to stand down. Varric looked at the human general with something close to hatred. And if I refuse? Then we destroy them and land anyway. The choice is yours, but understand this: we're freeing this planet. The only question is how many Vrelians die in the process. Varric sent the communication. The garrison commander argued, threatened, and finally obeyed when he saw the size of the human fleet. 12 ships against 700 was not a battle. It was suicide. Captain Nari led the first landing force. Her ship touched down in the capital city, and she emerged to find thousands of Kelris natives watching. They were insect-like beings with multiple arms and compound eyes. They looked afraid. One of them approached slowly, speaking through a translator device. Are you here to replace the Vrelians as our masters? Nari removed her helmet so they could see her face. No. We're here to help you be free. The Kelris stared at her. Then slowly they began to understand. Some collapsed in relief. Others cheered. A few cried if insects could cry. Lieutenant Minho watched from his bomber as the scene repeated itself in cities across the planet. The Vrelian forces were being rounded up peacefully. No executions, no revenge killings. The humans had been clear this was liberation, not conquest. Why are we being so nice to them? Eugen asked over the radio. After what they did to Earth? Because we're better than them, Nari replied simply. The liberation of Kelris took 3 days. Then the human fleet moved to the next world. Then the next. Word spread quickly through the Vrelian Empire. Humans were coming and they were freeing slaves. 5 worlds. 10 worlds. 20 worlds. At each planet, the pattern repeated. The humans arrived with overwhelming force, demanded surrender, and then helped establish free governments. They did not claim the worlds. They did not demand tribute. They just freed them and moved on. The Vrelian High Council watched in growing horror as their empire crumbled. How is this possible? Demanded the High Counselor. We conquered those worlds over centuries. The humans are dismantling our empire in months. Because the conquered worlds want to be free, said an advisor. They're not fighting for the humans. They're fighting for themselves. We held them through fear, and the humans removed that fear. Then we fight harder. We reclaim our territory. With what fleet, my lord? Our best forces were defeated at Earth. Our remaining ships are scattered, defending our core worlds. If we try to reclaim lost territory, we leave ourselves vulnerable. The High Counselor looked at the map of what remained of the Vrelian Empire. It was shrinking daily. Contact the humans. Arrange a meeting. Admiral Kyung received the message while overseeing the liberation of the 31st world. The Vrelians wanted to negotiate. After months of war, after millions of deaths, they wanted to talk. Should we meet with them? Commander Taeyang asked. Kyung considered. Yes, but not alone and not as equals. The meeting took place on a neutral station between Vrelian and human space. Admiral Kyung arrived with a fleet at his back. He brought Commander Taeyang, Captain Nari, Dr. Hana, and Engineer Bora. He also brought representatives from 20 of the liberated worlds. The Vrelian delegation was led by the High Counselor himself. He looked old and tired, his gray skin darker than normal, his 4 eyes dim. "You wanted to speak?" Kyung said. The High Counselor bowed slightly, a gesture of respect among Vrelians. "We wish to end this conflict. You have proven your point. Humans are not weak. You are formidable warriors. We acknowledge this." "You acknowledge it now that you're losing," Taiyang said coldly. "Yes," the High Counselor admitted. "We underestimated you. It was a grave error. But continued war serves no one. We propose a peace treaty. Vrelian forces will withdraw from all contested worlds. In exchange, you cease your liberation campaign and leave our core systems alone." Kyung looked at the representatives from the liberated worlds. A Kelrus leader, a reptilian from a water world, a crystalline being from a frozen planet. They all shook their heads. "Unacceptable," Kyung said. "What do you want?" asked the High Counselor, and for the first time there was something like fear in his voice. "All 47 worlds freed. Every single one. Your military reduced to defense forces only. No more conquest. No more empire. You get to keep your home world and your core systems, but your days of subjugation are over. That would mean the end of Vrelian civilization as we know it." "Yes," Nari said, speaking for the first time. "That's the idea." The High Counselor looked at each human in turn. "You realize you're demanding we change our entire culture? Expansion is our way. Conquest is how we've survived." Dr. Hana leaned forward. "Then survived differently. Trade, diplomacy, cooperation. There are other ways to be strong. And if we refuse? Then we finish what we started," General Daehyun said, appearing on a view screen from his flagship. "We liberate all 47 worlds, and then we come for your core systems. We won't stop until your empire is nothing but memory." The High Counselor looked at his advisors. They had no answers. Finally, he looked back at the humans. "You came to our attention as primitives. Now you dictate terms to us. How did this happen?" "You made a mistake," Kyung said quietly. "You thought mercy was weakness. You thought surrender was sensible. You thought we would choose survival over freedom. You were wrong on all counts." The High Counselor was silent for a long moment. Then he bowed his head. "We accept your terms." The liberation of the final world took place 6 months after the Battle of Earth. It was a desert planet called Saros, and it had been the first world the Vrelians conquered. 3 centuries ago, the native Sarosians were warrior people, proud and strong. They had fought the Vrelians for decades before finally being subdued. When the human fleet arrived, they expected another conqueror. Colonel Seung-ho led the landing force personally. He met the Sarosian chieftain in the center of the capital city. "We're here to free you," Seung-ho said. The chieftain, a massive being with 4 arms and scarred hide, looked skeptical. "Why?" "Because it's the right thing to do. No one does something just because it's right." Seung-ho smiled. "Humans do, sometimes, when we're not being stupid." The Sarosians joined the fight eagerly, helping to round up the Vrelian occupiers. By sunset, the planet was free. That night, the chieftain asked Seung-ho the question everyone was asking. "What happens now? Do we join your empire?" "We don't have an empire," Seung-ho replied. "We're forming a coalition, a partnership of free worlds. No one rules anyone. We work together, defend each other, and respect each other's sovereignty." "That sounds too good to be true." "Maybe, but we're going to try anyway." The Terran Coalition was formally established 1 year after the war began. It included Earth, the 5 colony worlds, and 47 liberated worlds. Each had equal representation. Each had equal voice. The first Coalition Council meeting was held on Earth, in a building constructed specifically for this purpose. Representatives from 53 different species gathered in one chamber. Admiral Kyung, now retired from military service, gave the opening address. 1 year ago, the Vrelians came to Earth and demanded our surrender. They expected us to beg for mercy. Instead, we taught them in the Galaxy 3 lessons. First, never corner a predator species. Second, never mistake patience for weakness. Third, never make humans angry. Laughter rippled through the chamber from multiple species with multiple types of vocal cords. "But we learned something too," Kyung continued. "We learned that we're not alone in wanting freedom. We learned that strength comes not from conquering others but from standing together. We learned that the galaxy is full of good people waiting for someone to give them hope. Dr. Hana took over as the first Terran ambassador. Her job was to help build bridges between species that had never worked together. It was difficult. Ancient grudges existed. Cultural differences caused misunderstandings. But slowly, carefully, they built something new. Engineer Bora led the technology exchange program. Humans shared what they had learned about Vrelian technology. Other species shared their own advances. Within a year, every coalition world had better ships, better communications, and better defenses. Captain Nari became an admiral and took command of the coalition defense fleet. She trained pilots from dozens of worlds, teaching them human tactics. Fight smart, she told them. Fight together, and never give up. Lieutenant Minho opened a flight school on Earth, training the next generation of pilots. Many of his students were from liberated worlds, young beings who wanted to learn from the humans who had freed their planets. Commander Taiyang worked with former Vrelian military officers, helping them transition from conquerors to defenders. It was strange work, teaching the enemy how to be allies. But slowly, some Vrelians began to understand. As for Lord Varix, he was not executed or imprisoned. Instead, he was assigned to work with the coalition as an advisor. His knowledge of galactic politics was valuable, and he had learned humility through defeat. "Why do you let me live?" he asked Kyung one day.